We appreciate separation of church and state. I don't want any other company and or person, teacher, to be indoctrinating my children in what they believe is correct. Um, I appreciate the freedom to have our own spiritual beliefs. Hi, my name is Jenna, and I am a homeschooling mom of two boys, ages 11 and 8. We have been homeschooling for 6 years, so we're going into our 7th year of homeschooling. And I felt like right now is the perfect time to talk about why we are secular homeschoolers. So, in Texas, which is where we are, it is really uncommon to be a secular homeschooler. I was naive coming into homeschooling, thinking that it wouldn't be that big of a deal. We wouldn't have that hard of a time finding curriculum that would work for us. But I was quickly kind of shocked with how different my thoughts were and my ideas were surrounding that. So we had a very hard time originally finding our people, our community. I know I have said before that homeschooling is only going to be really successful if you can find a community that you can kind of use as an anchor, because there will be really tough times and you will need to kind of use your community to keep you motivated, to keep you going, to kind of check in with and let you know that you're not crazy, you're not the only one feeling this way. And it's really easy to find a lot of um, Christian or religious co-ops, which would be your first reaction to, okay, I need community. Maybe I try a co-op, maybe I try a group. And a lot of times I felt when I did try these groups out that it was just not the right fit for us. And so I did want to talk about that a little bit. I know that there are some homeschoolers present on YouTube that are secular, which I love watching because it makes me feel like I'm not the only one. And I love getting their ideas on certain type of curriculums that are either non-religious or secular. And so I thought I was going to kind of throw my 2 cents into the ring, and kind of tell you our experience. We have been a secular homeschooler for the entire time. That is not to say that our family doesn't have their own personal spiritual beliefs. We do, but I don't feel like spiritual practices have a place in a curriculum that is taught by or encouraged by or promoted by a company outside of your home. That to me is something that is a personal choice. It comes from family, family values, your family traditions, and your culture inside of your family. That is where spirituality can be taught and can be grown and developed, not in a curriculum. I am not paying a company, I am not paying a person to teach my child what that person or that company's beliefs are. It's not going to happen. I appreciate our own personal spirituality, what is right for our family. I do not need it in a curriculum. I do not need to spend time having my children rote copy Bible verses, because that's just not where we get our educational value from. Um, so that can sound harsh, but I appreciate the separation of church and state. And that is something that is really being challenged right now where we live, where I live in Texas. It has become law that public schools need to display the Ten Commandments in classrooms. In this state that I live in, I don't know what has happened, but we have blurred the lines between separation of church and state. There has been a law that has passed that allows and mandates public schools to display 10 commandment posters in classrooms if they have been donated to the school. So while schools don't have to pay for them with their own funds, of course, there are a lot of very fundamental Christian, very Christian nationalist type organizations that have gone to donating these posters to the schools. And so if they are donated, it is law that they must display these, I believe it's like 16 by 20 inches. It has to be, there are regulations, there are rules that you have to follow along with this. You have to be able to put it in a visible place so you can't hide it. It has to be seen from anywhere within the room, I believe. It's very specific rules. Um, and so, because the way that the trend has happened with this craziness in Texas of having Christianity pushed down people's throats in a public school setting, it's just given me the ick. I can't say it any other way. I feel like it can do some damage to the children that aren't Christian, the children that have a different faith, Jewish families, Buddhist families, Muslim families, like all of the other religions are wrong essentially when you are putting one religious text up and they are saying that it's because it has historical value. Okay. So anyway, it's just against our beliefs for having religious texts and documents in a classroom setting. That's very disturbing to me. I feel like we are getting away from having a good education that is centered around true history. And I also just really don't feel like children of all grade levels need to be understanding what adultery is, what coveting is. I mean, I'm not saying not to take important character development lessons from the Ten Commandments. You can do it age appropriately, but this is not that. This is not the way. But Texas thinks it is. So I am so glad every year when we have something happen, like COVID, for example, there were a lot of kids that were displaced and had to stay at home, and their parents were feeling frustrated with how are we going to educate our children. I am so grateful that I didn't have to worry about that because we went along our business like normal. We planned on having a homeschool year. We did a homeschool year and it was fine. When things like this get crazy, where now people have to display the 10 commandments in a public school setting, I pull back and I say, I am so grateful we homeschool. I don't really think that that is appropriate and beneficial for anybody's education to have this poster in our classrooms. I feel sorry for the teachers who are going to have to be asked inappropriate questions from their students about what's adultery. Go ask your mom or dad. That's something that needs to be addressed at home, which is, again, what we're doing with our spiritual beliefs. We address them at home. It doesn't need to be something that we push down people's throats. And I appreciate not being evangelized to or having, other religious ideas pushed down our throats. So I know that was kind of a bit of a tangent, but I feel very passionately about how crazy things have gotten lately in Texas. People have lost their minds. So, anyway, we love to have a secular curriculum or at the very least a non-religious curriculum. In Texas, we do have a very, very loose requirements for homeschooling in Texas, which is why I do like to homeschool in Texas. We don't have to fulfill a whole lot of requirements. There's not a binder that you have to keep. There's not a whole lot of checks and balances. There's nobody that I have to go to and prove that we're doing what we're saying we're doing. It can be a good and a bad thing. There's not a lot of accountability. So I will say that the one of the small amount of requirements that homeschoolers have to, have a little checkbox by is a character curriculum. So you do need to figure out a way to have a character curriculum included in your homeschool. Most of that is probably done by people who are Christian, religious, who can use their Christian curriculum to tick that box. Not having a part of a Christian curriculum that we use, we have tried a couple of things. One of the curriculum that we have tried in the past when my children were younger was the Young Masters Little Wisdom Discovery Program. And it is by Dream a World, and I will link it down below. And I liked this curriculum because you could choose the theme that was right for you. There's a general curriculum, there is a Montessori curriculum. There is more of a Christian God inserted into the curriculum. And then there is one that's just kind of a general spirituality. It doesn't lend to any particular Christian curriculum, it doesn't lend to any certain religion, which I don't mind at all. And so we chose I believe it was just general curriculum. So, and it comes with a whole bunch of things. It came with a CD of songs, links for videos. It came with books. It came with activities to do. And so that was fabulous. I really liked it. And we enjoyed that program for a little while. We discontinued that program because now we have a program within our own Cub Scouts that qualifies for the character portion of our curriculum. So we get our character development through extracurricular activities. So in this particular instance, it's Cub Scouts. And that has been a great, great thing for us to, that qualifies as a character curriculum. Sometimes when you're secular, my point is you have to be a little creative. You have to do some research. You have to do some Googling. You have to do some outreach. You have to find maybe some other secular homeschoolers and see what they're using. But maybe sometimes it comes in from an extracurricular activity. So it's not that it can't be done. It's just that sometimes it has to be a little different. And that has worked out wonderfully for us. So we've really enjoyed finding our community. Like I said, it's a lot of trial and error. We have found our community through some of the extracurricular activities that we've done, including other co-ops that might have more of a Christian thread running through them, but not requiring you to have a pastor reference or a statement of faith, or just taking mandatory Christian classes. So we have found a co-op that is not 100% every class has something to do about God or Jesus. And so we have taken some classes there. We just are very careful about who we choose to take them from. The teachers, I mean, we've gotten to know the teachers now to where we know which ones are secular. I'm sorry, not the teachers are secular, but which classes are secular, and which ones are not. And then we've also, through the co-op, found other secular homeschoolers that have found us trying to do the same thing. And then we've also done a little gym, so some gymnastics programs that are kind of extra outside of our home. We found some secular friends that way that homeschool. So as you go about trying to find your people, look into activities or businesses that have daytime hours that cater to homeschoolers. Because most of the time, if you can find some other people that are homeschooling and going to these programs, you'll just be able to meet other homeschoolers in the wild or secular homeschoolers in the wild. We are out here. We are trying to find other people of our kind that kind of believe the same things that we do. Some people, like I said, who are secular homeschoolers don't believe in God. Some are atheist or agnostic. Some have spirituality like we do, but it's just not something we really want or value in our educational setting, in our curriculum. So you will find your people eventually just by trial and error, putting yourself out there, going to different events, maybe connecting on Facebook through some Facebook homeschool groups. As much as I hate Facebook, it's a love hate relationship. It's a great way to find community. It's a great way to get organized and try to find different people that align in the same way that you do. So it's one of those things that it's a catch 22. You don't, I really would love to not um, be on it or need it all the time. But in a world where everything is, technologically based, or we're all plugged in, we're all in some sort of a digital world, it is unfortunately something that we do rely on at this moment. So we have found we found a great community. It's a small community, but it is a great community where we found our people, and that can make a huge difference, especially if you feel like you are a minority in the homeschool community. So I hope that this has somewhat been informative. I feel like I've tried not to get too preachy or up on a soapbox, but I do really feel very passionate about keeping our spirituality inside of our home, in our hearts, in our um in our family, because we are respectful of other people's beliefs. We don't have to believe everything the same as everybody else, but we do need to respect other people's beliefs just as we want to be respected ourselves. So we're trying to model that for others. It's easier said than done sometimes in Texas because there are some definite interesting type of religious people down here. So it's been interesting. Thankfully, we live close enough to a big city that we do have some people that have more liberal beliefs like we do. And so I'm appreciative of that. Those are the reasons that we are secular, and we will continue to be secular in our education here at home. I would love for you to comment down below if you are a secular homeschooler, how you do it, what curriculum you are looking for, what curriculum you've used, because it is something that is always on my mind of what else can we use that is not something that prioritizes a certain religion or a certain Christian message that maybe doesn't align with our values. So I appreciate your time. I hope you found this interesting or thought provoking. Or maybe even helpful. I know I love to hear from other secular homeschoolers. So we are out here. We're just not the majority yet. So, anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you tune in next time.